Hey squad, welcome back. Now this one right here is for all of the reggae heads who have been trying to crack the code for using the Logic Pro Drummer to create their reggae rhythms. In this video, I'm going to give you the hack on exactly how you can create realistic reggae drum patterns and fills right here in Logic Pro using Logic Drummer. So first of all, have a listen to this piece that I've created using the Logic Drummer and a couple of one-shot drum samples to create a fantastic reggae rhythm track. Check it out. Pretty awesome, if I have to say so myself. Let's dive in. So first things first, if you haven't seen any of my Logic Pro Drummer tutorials, make sure you check them out. I'll have a link above in the top here, as well as in the description, with a full playlist of all of the essential Logic Pro Drummer tips and tricks that you have to know in order to take full advantage of this amazing AI drummer. Okay, so here's a quick breakdown on what's actually going on musically. We've got my bass line, some guitars, 2 tracks of guitars, we've got some keys, and we've got an organ and some horns. That's what's happening musically. Of course, we need some really cool drums to go with that. Up here, we've got 2 instances of Logic Pro Drummer. Then I've got some one-shot drum samples, kick, snare, and the rim. And down here, I've got a crash and a splash cymbal. That's it. Now, all of my drum tracks are going through to bus 10. So let's have a quick listen to what's actually going on. Okay, so let's start with the kick and the snare drums. I've got them playing a really simple 1-drop pattern. Let's solo that. That's all that's happening with the kick and the snare. And these samples are being played and triggered from the Logic Drum Machine Designer. Now, as a bonus, I'm going to have a link to this very same project, which you'll be able to download exactly as it is. It will have all of the samples and everything you need in order to explore and experiment and even use the samples that are in here for your own productions. But where the real magic happens is with the hi-hats. Now, let's see what's going on with the Logic Drummer track. Let's solo that and have a listen. In order for me to create this reggae style rhythm on the hi-hats, I created a new Logic Drummer track. I went to Songwriter, then I chose Levi, Funky Songwriter. Down here, I've got Beach, Bonfire, and I've switched everything off besides the hi-hat and the shaker. Also, if we were to click details right here, you'd see I've got these settings for each of these drummer regions. I've switched off automatic when it comes to the open and closed hi-hat setting. And this is where the real key to this whole thing comes in. It's the swing. You want to get a swing value of between 60% and 66%. I've kept it at 60%, but you can get any variation in between. And it's the swing that gives us that reggae shuffle feel. So have a quick listen to the difference the swing value makes. We're starting off with no swing, in fact, at 50%, which is no real swing going on here. Let's play back. Okay, and now let's take it up to 60%. Okay, huge difference. So let's see what difference this fill adjustment dial makes. Let's pull this back to about here. As you can see, the pattern up here has changed, and let's have a listen. And now let's move the dial all the way back up to about just before 12 o'clock. Okay, so it does make a lot of difference, and you can adjust the fill dial to suit your taste. The other thing that I've got going on is, and you learn this from my other Logic Pro drummer videos, is the follow track. I've determined that my Logic drummer tracks follow my bass. I've got options that I can choose from, but I've told it to follow the bass line, which effectively means the drummer and the bass will groove together. Okay, I can't stress enough, check out my other videos on Logic Drummer to really get the full benefit of this amazing tool. Let's look at these in isolation. I've got this first 4 bars here. You can see this node right here where it's set to this position. Also, the fill is at this position here. When we go to this one, I increase the complexity just slightly by pushing it slightly more to the right hand side, and I've adjusted the fill dial so that we get a slightly different fill pattern. When we come to this one, I've increased the intensity so it's a little bit louder and just nudged it a bit more in terms of complexity. The fill dial is slightly more increased compared to this. You can actually see the pattern. There's a slight difference in the fill pattern at the end here. And then we come to the end one right here. Full intensity, full complexity right up in the top corner. And the fill right here is pretty much at 12 o'clock. So what we're getting is variation in the drumming in terms of intensity, complexity, and the type of drum fill that you'll get either in the middle or at the end of each of these 4 bars. If I click on the drum kit, on the snare drum, I've increased the dampening all the way to maximum. And although the snare drum is not incorporated in the main rhythm section, when it comes to the drum fills, that's where the Logic snare comes in. So I really wanted it to be properly dampened. Like I said before, I've got 2 instances of Logic Drummer. The main drum kit that Levi is playing, and then a second drum kit played by Quincy. But this drummer track is a percussion track. And again, I've done a video on Logic Pro Drummer, the percussion sections. Make sure you check that out. Anyway, just really quickly, what I've got here is we've got Quincy playing pop percussion using the Tracker Room preset, and everything switched off besides these, and the same over here. But on this region, I've got the tambourine switched on, and also right here I've got a different pattern playing here compared to here. And also you can see I've got a different level of intensity and complexity from the first region to the second, and this just adds additional interest. We've also got a slight variation in fill between the first region and the second region. So let's listen to the drums and percussion before we move on. Now the second region. Not a bad groove at all. Now, before I move away from the drums, I just want to show you what I've got going on here with the Drum Machine Designer. We've got 2 kick drums right here, which are layered, and we've got a snare and a rim shot. And like I said, the samples will come as part of the overall project when you download it. If we look at the pattern right here, we've got the 2 kicks hitting at the same time. These are the 2 kicks. This is the snare and then the rim. One thing I want to show you right here, because the way I've programmed these, you'll see that just here, the notes aren't exactly on the line. They're slightly off the line. They're not all hitting at the very same time. Let's move to this region right here, where all of the notes are exactly on the line. Now, I want to create a more of a humanized feel. So what you do, you highlight everything and you use the key command, command 9, number 9, and then you get the transform window. Come up here to humanize, click on humanize, and now you click select and operate. And that is going to move things slightly off the line and create a more of a human feel. Sometimes I like to hit it twice, okay? But very important, the notes at the very beginning of the bar, you want to quantize those. So let's quantize those. make sure they're on the line. So now if we have a look at these, you'll see some variation here now. The notes that are at the beginning of the bar, I keep exactly on point, but the others I create a bit of variation like so. And it's a variation in position as well as velocity. Okay, so now I just want to feature the reverb unit that I'm using for the entire production. Now, if you're making roots reggae music, one drop, rockers, if you're making lovers rock, this plugin will serve you really well as your main reverb for the production. Have a quick listen of playback with the reverb and then when I switch it out. Okay, now the reverb adds that lovely dimension to the overall feel, the sound, the texture of the production. It's the Magma Springs reverb by Waves. You can download this as well as all of the other Waves plugins that I've got featured in this particular production. Links will be in the description. Download, try them out completely free of charge. And if it works for you, then take the next step. Anyway, the way I've got the reverb set up, I've got it set up on bus 3. For each track, I'm sending a certain amount of signal through to the reverb. For the hi-hat section on Logic Drummer, I'm sending this amount. Then the percussion, I'm sending less. Nothing at all for these two kicks. Then I'm sending through signal from the rim, then the snare, the crash, of course, nothing from the bass. This guitar is going through a different setup. These guitar licks down here, they're going through to the reverb, piano, the organ, and the horns. All of them, pretty much everything is going through to this besides one or two things which are specifically left out or going through something different. Now, it's definitely worth me showing you how I'm processing my drums. All of my drums, like I said, are going through to a drum bus, which is bus 10. And on the bus, I've got two really important plugins. I've got the Waves CLA 2A compressor, which is gluing everything together. And then the signal then passes through the Waves Maserati GRP, which is a group bus processor. And I've got it set up on the Whack-In Kit preset, made some adjustments there, and have a listen to how this processes my drums. Let's do an A-B. See how these tools bring your drums to life? So that's the drums. Let me show you what I've got going on for my bass line as well. This is important. I'm also using Waves plugins on the bass. Let's switch them out and then bring them in. Again, the Waves CLA bass. Make sure you check out my video on the CLA bass. This is an absolutely awesome plugin for bass guitarists, and of course the Voltage Amps bass, which is again a fantastic plugin if you're a bass player. This one you can't go without. And the very last thing I want to show you is what we've got going on our master bus. We've got a few vintage processing plugins, all by Waves as well. First of all, we've got the Abbey Road vinyl right here, which emulates the vinyl cutting process. We've also got the Aphex Aural Exciter, which adds extra harmonics to the mix. The next thing we got here is the J37 reel-to-reel tape emulation. Over here, we've got an emulation of the Abbey Road TG mastering desk. And finally, I've got the Waves L3 Ultra Maximizer, which we use to level off the peaks at the very end of the mix. So once again, I'm going to switch all of these off and then bring them in one by one as we listen through and hear how these plugins are affecting the mix. As always, thank you so much for watching. And if I brought you value, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment. It's always great to hear from you. Remember also, you can support me by checking out the other videos that I've recommended, and you can also download and try out all of the Waves plugins absolutely free of charge. They may well provide solutions in helping you achieve the sound and the mix that you're looking for. So until next time, I'm Deuce, I'm out. Peace.